with itself. See, I have to go all the way into detail with this because I know the exact scripture, but I want to pull the actual verse up by number. So let me pull this real quick. This is what I look for. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 6. It says, "But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it." And that's why I was talking about that power and great glory. I'm going to jump back up to verse 3, just for edification's sake. Like I said, I wasn't going to pull it, but I'm going to just bring this out. Because this guy talking about the Lamb and him conquering. Let me run this. What did he say? Let me run this back.
Conquers, but he conquers, John is telling us, by his death. So the lion and the lamb are the same referent, right? They both refer to Jesus. So how does that relate to chapter 7? John hears about 144,000, but he sees, that's verses 1 through 8 of chapter 7, but he sees in verses 9 through 17 a great multitude.
Yeah, and that great multitude is talking about that 130. That's what it's talking about. Yeah, it is 144,000 for the book of Zechariah. Matter of fact, let me go back to it real quick before I get in 2nd Ezra. And that's why it's cute to read this stuff and then pray for that understanding too, because you should all say all type of shit and if you don't really know what's going on, then they'll easily deceive you. That's the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, and verse 8. It says, "And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein." And verse 9 it says, "And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, It is my people. And they shall say, Yahweh is my power." Now, that's that great multitude. Because best believe they're going to be joined on to the elect, which are the 144,000. It always happened in past times, like when Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed with Lot. Or when Noah was around, the earth got flooded with his children. Them type of references. It always, he had the main man that was the head. He had the people that joined on to him. Simultaneously, the same thing is going to go down with the elect. Well, see, Esau don't understand this because they don't break that down at these cemetery schools. Now, but back in 2nd Ezra, let's talk about how he conquered. This is how he going to conquer right here. Verse 3 in 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Yep. And it says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. After this I beheld, and lo, It was gathered together a multitude of men out of a number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And yeah, they see a dark-skinned man or being coming from space, decked out, glorious apparel, angels with them. They dark-skinned man, but they ship's fine. Oh yeah, they finna go try to. They just how they see our people in the street and they shoot first, ask later. Same thing they trying to do with the Space Force. Shoot first, ask later. Verse 6 it says, "But I beheld, and lo, he had created himself a great mountain and flew upon it." And they ain't talking about a literal mountain. That's symbolic. Like how this guy talking about stuff being symbolic. That mountain. Let me see my battery here because I don't want battery to die. I'm doing this. That mountain is a ship that he gonna be on. And you saw know about them ships. NASA seen them. That's why they always cutting the live stream. Verse 7 it says, "But I would have seen a region or place whereout the hill was raven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him was so afraid. And yet there's fight." Just like the police, when they see our people, they be scared, but they'll still gun your ass down. Same spirit they're gonna have when your house shot come out. But it's just gonna be on a higher level because they're using the Space Force. Now, verse 9 it says, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war." Just like our people most of the time. They get gunned down and shot up in the streets. They don't be having no guns. They don't be having none in their hand. They back be turning off. Just leave it up to Esau. They still gonna gun your ass down. But they ain't going down when this scenario pop up. Now, it says in verse 10, "But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests." So, when this actually happened, and that fire hit them, that laser, so to speak, this is going to happen to them. It says in verse 11, "And they were all mixed together, a blast of fire, a flaming breath, and a great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon the sudden of a innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke." When I saw this, I was afraid. Oh yeah, we're gonna be shook too when we see that. Look up, you see the Space Force. You got NASA launching whatever type of ships they got. The Air Force launching ships, and they going up into space. They trying to shoot rockets or whatever. And you look up and you see this big, huge ship coming, angels flying around it with other ships. They gleaming and glowing, because if you ever happen to see a chariot, that's exactly how they look. They have like this little angelic glow. It almost look unreal, but you know it's real. And you can tell it's there. But they'll let you know they're there. So when they actually see this and they try to fight this, they just gonna get turned to dust. That's how you gonna conquer.
But you see the parallel with chapter 5. It's the same sort of thing. What he hears and sees is the same entity, told from two different perspectives. You have Jesus as a lion and the lamb.
And the reason why he's the lion and the lamb, because when he died, he could, like the scripture said, he could have called down legions of angels to take over Rome at that time. But at one time, he had to fulfill prophecy as a lamb. He had to be that sacrifice for Israel. Because before he was a sacrifice, our people, they were sacrificing lambs, goats, turtle doves, whatever, for they sin offerings, peace offerings, and so to speak. The list goes on. But now our people can't run around, go commit a certain type of sin and be like, "Oh, I'm finna go cut this lamb and call on the Most High." No, it don't work like that now. That's why he was the lamb then. But when he come back, he gonna be the lion. That's what that's talking about.
The 144,000, another way to describe them is the uncountable multitude. But that's another argument then, that the 144,000 refer to all Christians.
But they don't say that though. That's why. Let me get this scripture right here. Now, I try to make these videos short as possible, but when the Spirit on me to go into full detail. You better get as much info as you can. Sometimes the best stuff ain't all short and sweet. Let me see. It's in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 3. It says, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So a lot of people can read it, but I don't mean they actually hear it. Like, this guy read it, but he ain't hear it though. He ain't hear what it was really talking about.
The 144,000, or another way of saying it is they're an uncountable multitude, which leads to my fourth argument. The number is symbolic.
Man, he saw through. And he's stressed too, man. Look at him losing hair and shit. He saw through, man. See, one thing I realized what these scriptures do, like you really apply them to your life and stuff like that, you look real youthful, you full of energy. People see you, they be like, damn, why you shining like that? Why your face glowing like that? Or why you so lively and full of energy? That's the Most High putting the spirit on certain man. You seek him out, let's believe he gonna reward you. Give you a different type of spirit than most people.
The number is symbolic.
Man, the number ain't symbolic, man. It's clear as day. Like the scriptures say that the Lord is not the author of confusion. Let me pull that real quick. He's not the author of confusion. That's not confusion. He said 144,000. That's 144,000. There ain't no extra jump. Let me correct that. The only extra is those that's joining to them. That's the extra. Other than that, what are you talking about? That's symbolic. It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 33. Oh, better yet, I'm going to read on down from 32. I was about to do something else before I started doing this. I was like, no, let me go ahead and let me jump into this. And that's just how my spirit is, man. That's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 32. It says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Why? Because whatever you was doing in your past life, you're going to do it in this one. If you was a good chef in your past life, more than likely you're going to be a good chef in this life. If you was a good chef, a good carpenter or something in your past life, you're going to be one in this one. No new thing under the sun, like the scripture says. Verse 33 says, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And they go down some more, mainly talk about the women, let them keep silence, and the order they're supposed to be in. But a lot of pastors never touch on that because they don't want to lose most of their congregation and their money. But that order gonna be restored too, simultaneously. We play this a little bit more, and I'm gonna go to the next video.
So in Revelation, in apocalyptic literature, you have symbolic numbers. So you have the number 12, just as there were 12 tribes of Israel, and there's 12 apostles.
But that's not symbolic, because it was actually 12 tribes, which it was 13 at a time, because you had the tribe of Dan, but that's something totally different. But the main tribes that the Lord was dealing with is the 12. We talk about the 12 apostles, you had the top 12. That wasn't symbolic, that's what it actually was.
And then you have 12 times 1,000. 144,000. Sometimes people don't recognize the symbolic nature of 12 times 12 because we may not do that multiplication in our minds, but I think the author, John, is clearly signaling that he's writing symbolically. Fifth reason. In chapter 2, verse 9, and in chapter 3, verse 9, the Jews are called a synagogue of Satan. Now, John didn't say that because he hates Jews. John was Jewish himself.
You see, that's false, because John wasn't Jewish. He was a Jew. And actually, of the tribe of Levi, because John the Baptist came from what his father's name was. Let's go into it exactly. If I ain't mistaken, it's Eleazar, if I ain't mistaken. See, Esau through, man, with this bullshit. They've been pushing out. They through, man. The Most High don't put the spirit on certain man to search out every detail, every scripture, definition, language and all that. So they can lie. They can lie to them fools who ain't meant to get it. But they can't lie to the elector. Let me pull it up very quick. Hold on 1 minute. I just want to find this. That's one reference of this, just for edification's sake. It might be Zechariah still, if I ain't mistaken. Yep, that's what it was. Symbolic. The Eleazar was somebody else's father. It was Zechariah. That's who his father was. But he come from the tribe of Levi, a priest of the sons of Aaron. So, in order to be a priest of the sons of Aaron, you got to come from a direct lineage of Levi. He wasn't Jewish. He was a literal Jew. And at that time, the reason why they had the separation, and they was calling, you had the Jews and you had Jerusalem. They was talking about the northern and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom consisted of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And then the northern was the rest of the other tribes. So that word Jewish is a made-up word. So yeah, that scripture was talking about the synagogue of Satan. Who got the synagogues today? We ain't got no synagogues.
Of Satan. Now, John didn't say that because he
who be circumcising babies with their mouth? We don't do no shit like that.
hates Jews.
They ain't even our customs. Yeah, we get circumcised at birth. There ain't nobody doing it with their mouth. Only the synagogue of Satan do that shit. That's why he put that in the scriptures, so you'll know who to look for. What's their characteristics? Where do they like to be at?